Okay, so I assume that a lot of you guys watching right now have at least been to school before, or in some cases might still be in school. Regardless, in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys about the time my friend became a criminal. So, like any story, we have to start from the beginning. Now, at this time, I want to say I was about 14, which means I would have been in year 9. At this time, I was having lunch with some of my friends in the lunch hall, and when I finished my food, I saw the line for seconds, and I don't know what it was at the time, but I was still very much hungry. So I waited in line for a good 2-3 minutes and just couldn't be bothered to wait anymore. So I just packed my stuff away. And before I left for the door to go outside, I saw a familiar face. And for privacy reasons, we'll call him Ben. Now, Ben here is the main character in the story. In fact, he's actually the one who told me of this story. So I'm not even in it. Anyways, I approach him and see he's talking to one of my teachers. As we're talking and whatever, I glance over at my teacher, who is for whatever reason trying to hold back a laugh. I was rightfully confused, and I guess he saw that because before he left, he actually asked Ben to tell me the same story he told him because he said he thought it was interesting or whatever, which he did agree to, but he looked back at me, making me promise not to tell anyone, which I did. By the way, one more thing I forgot to mention is that Ben actually finished year 11, so he shouldn't even be here. Another thing about Ben was that he was considered as the school's liar. I can tell you a bunch of his stories, like the time he told me he was a descendant of a famous president, which I think he said Abraham Lincoln, which if it was, then hats off to him. Or when he told me one of his friends was a part of the Mexican cartel. And my favorite one, when he said that he went down to the school's local McDonald's in his school uniform, took off his shoes, stood by the door and pretended to be homeless, which actually thinking about it is probably something he'd actually do. But that's not the story I want to tell. According to him, the story took place on his last day of school. As he's making his way home, he happened to pass by one of the neighboring schools, which we'll call the boys, because people believe that it was an all-boys school at that point. As he's passing through, he runs into, I think he said 4 or 5 boys, all 18 by the way, and after bumping into them, somehow starts a fight, which he somehow wins. I've known Ben for quite a long time, and I know he could not fight to save his life, but sure, I guess. Then he says that one of the boys stabbed him, which is quite serious. So what do you think he does in that situation? A, go inside of the school seeking help and then call an ambulance, or B, run home? Just guess which one he did. If you said A, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but he ran home. So as he got home, and he was stitching himself up like he's from The Walking Dead, less than a minute later, the police are knocking at his door. Now, it couldn't have been one of the boys that called the police because according to him, he knocked them out. Maybe, just maybe, it might have been when he was running home, bleeding his guts out, that someone saw him, and instead of answering the door like a normal person would, he snuck out of his own house and then had the police chasing him. After they caught him, they tased him about 5 times and then took him to Juvie. So that's it for the video. If you guys stuck around this long, it means you must have liked it, so I'm glad. Anyways, until next time, take care.